What's up everyone, we're going to be going through the best NBA player props on Prizepicks today. Now I did want to show you the results from yesterday's picks from my exclusive Discord group, and as you guys see, we actually got 20 picks correct, which was absolutely insane. So we're on a huge hot streak, but if you want to get 20 picks right like me, win more bets and receive the best picks from some of the best bettors in the world for less than a cup of coffee, you can access the exclusive Discord and meet some of the best sport bettors in the game by joining my Patreon, which will be linked down below in the description. Once you join, you'll have complete access to the Discord and can start winning more bets today. So make sure to join my Patreon using the link in the description. And here's one of our members who just signed up and won himself $1,125 just yesterday. Another member who won $125 for the 7th day in a row since joining my Discord. So guys, if you want to win big money like our members, a link will be in the description. So go join the Patreon to have access to the Discord group. And I will be continuing to upload every single day on this channel, the best bets and props. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my daily uploads. So quick shout out to Dylan Farrar 7319 who said first, so shouts out to him, and shouts out also to Cool Chuck Chill Out who said none other than. So I do definitely say that a lot, but shouts out to them. But if you do want to win a shout out in the next video, all you have to do is comment down below in this video and like it, and you can be in the running to win a shout out in the next one. All right, so let's get straight into the first pick. And when it comes to these picks, I'm not saying to chuck all of them into a parlay and hope for the best. Pick and choose the ones that you like and the ones that work best for you. So the first pick we're talking about is none other than Zach Edey. So when it comes to Zach Edey, or Zach Edey as some people like to call it, I apologize if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but Zach Edey, we're going to go with this one, 8.5 points, and this one actually is for less. Now looking at Zach Edey, we have seen him go on the under in 3 out of the last 5 games, which is interesting to see. Now when we look at those last 5 games, on April 12th, they faced off against Denver. We had 8 points there. Then April 16th faced off against the Golden State Warriors where he had 14 points. And then April 19th faced off against Dallas where he had 15 points there. And then had 4 points against Oklahoma City Thunder on April 21st. And then had 4 points again against OKC in Game 2 on April 23rd. So as mentioned, as the last 2 games, obviously coming into this next game, it is against Oklahoma City Thunder, as OKC and Memphis Grizzlies are currently in a playoff series. Now, looking at this series as a whole, obviously we do see both sides of the coin, because we actually do see that the Memphis Grizzlies did come in at the 8th spot with a record of 48-34, so they had a 58.5% win percentage. And then on the other side of things, we saw Oklahoma City Thunder, or OKC, have a record of 68-14. So they did a fantastic job there. When we actually look at Thunder, we do see that when it comes to this matchup between both of these teams, we are expecting a great amount of defense from OKC, because Oklahoma have actually, come in ranked 3rd in points allowed. So they rank very high, and for that reason, we do very much like the, under for this situation here. That's a big reason for it. We have seen OKC over the last games do that significantly due to the fact that on both games, we've actually seen only Zach score 4 points in both of them in back-to-back games for this series. So we have actually seen Zach being really restricted when it comes to scoring points out there. Oklahoma's defense is definitely too much for Zach to handle, and on top of that, the fact that Zach Edey is a center, OKC do a fantastic job at restricting points to the center position. So for that reason, we do very much like the under for this situation here. Now, when it actually comes to Zach Edey, what we also do see is that they actually have themselves a very good matchup, because, when we look at Memphis and OKC, we do also see that, Memphis do tend to slow down the pace of this game due to the fact that OKC are a little bit faster. We aren't actually expecting OKC to come up, or slow down. We don't expect, Memphis to actually come up to OKC's pace. We actually see the opposite. So we aren't expecting, that much increase of a pace, which I know a lot of people are assuming, but we should see it actually happen the other way. We should see Memphis slow down OKC, but OKC ends up still playing their game, which is why they have won, the first 2 games of this series. So coming into this one, we also do look at some of the other games where, during the regular season, Zach Edey has faced off against, Thunder, and we have seen they faced off against each other on the 8th of February, where he had 5 points in that matchup. So he went on the under there. They faced off again on the 5th of March, and then he had also 6 points in that matchup, so went on the under. And then on the 27th of that same month, we actually saw him have 8 points there. So we saw him go on the under in all 3 regular season games, and for that reason, we do still very much like the under. So the fact that he did go on the under in all 3 of those matchups during the regular season, he's also gone on the under in 2 of the most recent games, game 1 and game 2. It's a big reason for us why we still do believe in the under for this situation here. So for that, keep an eye out for Zach Edey for the under for this one. So Zach Edey, 8.5 points for less, I think is a fantastic pick. Now getting into the next one, we're going to be talking about Cade Cunningham. So as you all know, Cade Cunningham, great player from, none other than the actual Detroit Pistons. And we have seen them do a fantastic job because the Detroit Pistons or Cade Cunningham have done a pretty decent job, tying the series. But this one is actually for 8.5 assists. So this one's actually an assist one, and this is for less. So looking at Cade Cunningham, we've actually seen him go on the under in 3 out of the last 5 games. Now, looking at those last 5 games, we do see on April 8th, they faced off against Sacramento, where he had 5 assists there. Then New York Knicks on April 11th faced off against each other. He had 8 assists in that matchup, so that was still during the regular season. Then April 12th faced off against Milwaukee, where he had 12 assists. 12 assists against New York Knicks on April 20th. And then also on April 22nd against New York Knicks, he had 3 assists there. So we've actually have seen Cade Cunningham go on the under in 3 out of the last 5 games, like we mentioned, but his average over the last 5 is also 8. So slightly just below this line. Now, when we look at this next matchup, obviously, New York Knicks, they did actually win game 1 while Detroit took game 2. So it is a tied series coming into it. Now, looking at obviously both of these teams, just a quick refresher, Detroit Pistons actually came in at the 6th spot in the Eastern Conference and had a record of 44-38. So they had a great record there. On top of that, when you look at the New York Knicks, they had a bit of a better record as they came in on the 3rd in the Eastern Conference and had a record of 51-31. So they had 62% or 62.2% win percentage at that. So it is 3rd versus 6th coming into this matchup. It's definitely been an exciting 2 games. But when we look at New York Knicks and especially their defense when it comes to assists, we do see that New York Knicks do rank 7th when it comes to assists allowed. So that's a big reason why we do very much like the under for this situation here. Although Cade Cunningham does have a great usage rate in the assist department, a big reason why we do like the under is due to the fact that, we have seen time and time again that New York Knicks just do a fantastic job at actually restricting assists. Now, looking at the most recent games as well, you do see the most recent game, we actually saw Cade Cunningham go on the under. Now, game 1, he did end up going on the over, but we also saw in the regular season on April 11th, he did also go under on his line as he only had 8. So he did make it on the under by 0.5. So when we look at that, we do definitely still like the under as there is proof to the pudding. Now, New York Knicks and Detroit Pistons, a big reason for this is that, what we have seen so far during this series is that New York Knicks have done a fantastic job at slowing down Detroit. Detroit are a great team, do not get me wrong, but pace is a really big thing for Detroit. They like to push the pace as much as they can. However, New York Knicks have done a fantastic job at slowing down the pace and really slowing down this team. And less pace means less volume and less opportunity for someone like Cade Cunningham. So it's definitely having a huge effect on him. Now, when we look at Cade Cunningham over the regular season, so this is only regular season, guys and girls. Now, looking at Cade Cunningham, we see them or face off against each other on the 1st of November, and he actually had 6 assists in that matchup, so he did go on the under in that one. And then again on actual the 7th of December, he had actually 15 assists there, so he did do well in that game, but then bounced back or bounced lower as he did actually have on the 13th of January only 4 assists in that matchup, so he went on the under in that one. And then the one that we most recently talked about, the 10th, we actually do see he had 8 assists in that one. So we did see him go on the under in 3 out of those 4 games, so that's a big sign to us there. why we do like the under for this situation here. We definitely have seen him go on the under against Knicks all season. Knicks have done a great job slowing down the pace, which is definitely a big factor, and we should see that happen again coming into this game 3. So, for that reason, I do very, very much like the under for this situation for someone like Cade Cunningham. So keep an eye out for his line. Cade Cunningham, 8.5 assists for less, I think is a great pick. Now, getting into the next one, we're going to be talking about none other than Scottie Pippen Jr. So, Scottie Pippen, as we all know, a great and fantastic player from the Memphis Grizzlies. So, obviously, guys, there is only a couple of games since it is playoff time. But this one is a great one because this one is also 4 points for 11.5 points at that. And this one also is for less. Now, looking at Scottie Pippen, we've actually seen him go on the under in 3 out of the last 5 games. Now, we have seen him on April 12th face off against Denver, where he had 11 points in that matchup. Then April 16th faced off against Golden State Warriors. And in that matchup, we actually saw him have 9 points there. Then April 19th faced off against Dallas, where he had 13 points. And then April 21st faced off against OKC, where he had 2 points. And then 13 points against OKC on April 23rd. So it's definitely been an interesting time for, Scottie Pippen Jr. due to the fact that he has gone on the under in 3 out of the last 5 games. His average over the last 5 is 9.6 as well, so significantly below his line, which is also a tall tale sign there. Now, they obviously do face off against OKC. Now, we did already touch on OKC and where they do rank. Just to quickly refresh your memory, OKC first with a record of 68-14, and then the Grizzlies 8th in the Western Conference with a record of 48-34. Now, we did recently just talk about this when it came to the Zach Edey pick, but on top of that, what we also do see is that when it comes to Scottie Pippen Jr., we see him running that guard position. And when we look at Oklahoma City Thunder, yes, we have talked about it, they do rank 3rd in points allowed, but OKC also do a fantastic job at restricting points to the guard position. And that's a big reason why we do very much like the under for this situation here. We have seen it time and time again. As we all know, OKC's Shea and also Dort and other great players in that OKC team, most of their great defenders are those guard positions, and they just do a fantastic job at restricting guards. So we definitely see Scottie Pippen Jr. really struggling to really get anything going in this game. He has kind of struggled in game 1 and game 2. Yes, he did get 13 points in game 2, but the game was also pretty much over at 1 point. So, it is definitely going to be interesting to see coming into this next one. Now, looking at Scottie Pippen against actually OKC during the regular season, we also saw a bit of a mixed bag sort of results, because on the 29th of December he actually had 10 points there, so he went on the under in that line. Then 8th of February faced off again, where he had 6 points in that matchup, and then on the 5th of actually March, we saw him have 15 points. And then on the 27th, we saw him have 17 points. So it is a bit interesting there to see, because, Scottie Pippen Jr. did actually go on the under in 2 out of those games and went on the over in 2 out of those games as well. So, it is pretty much tied up, but against OKC, especially playoff time, these games definitely mean a lot more, and they want to win them fast if they are trying to sweep them as quick as they can. So for that, we are expecting OKC to really come out, play the greatest defense that they can play, which should definitely have a huge effect on this team. So for that reason, keep an eye out for Scottie Pippen Jr. So Scottie Pippen Jr., 11.5 points for less, I think is a great pick. So as you all know, I do want to get these picks out to you as soon as possible, but Prizepicks is delayed with some of their lines. So here are a couple of players you should definitely watch out for when their lines drop. So the first player we're going to be talking about is none other than Dennis Schroeder. Now, as you all know, Dennis Schroeder is a fantastic player for none other than the Detroit Pistons. Now, Dennis Schroeder had himself an interesting season. He has been traded here and there, but he's finally found home in the Detroit Pistons. And during this regular season, this is obviously with his different teams, he did average 13.1 points, 2.6 rebounds, 5.4 assists, 40.6% from the field goal percentage as well. So he did a fantastic job. We actually saw him rank 81st in points, 150th plus in rebounds, 31st in assists, and 112th in field goal percentage. So Dennis Schroeder did a fantastic job. Now, when it actually comes to this matchup, we all do know that the Detroit Pistons have done a fantastic job because they have actually tied up the series 1-1 against the New York Knicks. So it is definitely going to be a very exciting game. Now, when we look at, Dennis Schroeder, we do see him playing a big part in this roster. But the New York Knicks, Detroit Pistons matchup, it is tied 1-1. Now, just to give you a quick reminder of where they do rank, we did see New York Knicks finishing off the season with a 51-31 record. That is a 62% win percentage, so they rank third in that one. And then they face off against the Detroit Pistons, who do rank sixth in the Eastern Conference with a record of 44-38. So they did a fantastic job there. Now, when it comes to someone, like Dennis Schroeder, they do face off against Knicks, and looking at the Knicks, we do see when it comes to points allowed, we see them ranked 9th. Assists allowed, we do see them ranked 7th. And then rebounds allowed, we also do see that the Knicks rank really, really well as a ranked 2nd. Now, looking at Dennis Schroeder, obviously, he has already played 2 games against New York Knicks for game 1 and game 2. Now, we did see they lost game 1, so they actually lost 123-112, and then they won 100-94. Now, coming into this next game, we do actually very much like the under for this situation here. Although Dennis Schroeder is a great player, we definitely see him going on the under here due to the fact that New York Knicks just do a fantastic job defensively. But where New York Knicks really do shine is that they do a fantastic job at slowing down faster paced teams. Now, it may not happen in every single, game that has happened so far, but on the usual side of things, we do see Knicks just do a fantastic job at slowing down teams, and they actually have done a really good job at slowing down Pistons throughout this whole series. Now, it is still only 2 games in, but we think as the season continues and as the series continues, we should definitely see someone like, Schroeder have a little bit less pace out there, a little bit less volume, which should lead to the under for this one. Now, looking at his last 5 games, we actually did see just before the regular season ended, we saw him face off against the New York Knicks. Now, he had 8 points, 1 assist, and also 2 rebounds in that matchup. So he actually did go under on his line in all 3 categories. And then moving on from that, we also have them in game 1 where Dennis Schroeder had 8 points, 0 rebounds, and 3 assists. So he went on the under as well in all 3 categories there. And then finishing off in game 2, he had 20 points, 3 assists, and also 2 rebounds there. So he did go under in 2 out of the 3. He did still go in the over on points, though, in that game. But when we look at someone like Dennis Schroeder, like I mentioned, we have seen him more go on the under than he has gone on the over against the Knicks so far. So we should see a similar outcome coming into this game. On top of that, we also do know that Detroit Pistons obviously have other bigger players in this roster. So it's definitely going to affect them greatly. So, for that reason, we do very much think that the under is more likely for someone like, Dennis Schroeder coming into this game. So for that reason, Dennis Schroeder, keep an eye out for his line. If the line is, too close to his averages, then definitely look to go on the under there. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Chet Holmgren. So, as you all know, Chet, great player for none other than the Oklahoma City Thunder. And as you all know, OKC do have themselves a very interesting matchup against the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, first, looking off at, actually the matchup between these two, I do want to talk about, Chet's averages. So during the regular season, he did average 15 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and also had a 49% field goal percentage. So he did a fantastic job there. Now, when it comes to OKC, like I mentioned, they face off against the Grizzlies, but looking at both of these teams, just to reiterate, Thunder did finish off with the best record in the league with a 68-14 record. That is an 82.9% win percentage, and they face off against the Grizzlies, who were able to take the 8th spot. As the Grizzlies did have a record of 48-34, which is a 58.5% win percentage. So interestingly enough there, Chet Oklahoma City Thunder have just had a great season so far. Now, when we look at the matchup against Grizzlies, we do see that the Memphis Grizzlies do rank 24th when it comes to points allowed. Moving on into assists allowed, we do actually see the Grizzlies rank 18th, and then rebounds allowed, we also do see that the Grizzlies rank 10th. So because of that, we do very much like the over for this situation here. Grizzlies do rank very mid-tier in all three categories. Yes, they do rank a little bit higher in that rebounding, but we don't really see that being enough due to the fact that Chet tends to play the big man position, whether it's power forward or center. And what we have noticed time and time again is that the Memphis Grizzlies do a very poor job at restricting points, rebounds, and assists to the big man position. So we definitely see someone like Chet being able to take advantage of this and going on the over in this one. There really isn't any to focus on. I think he has a capability to definitely go on the over in all three categories. However, he does have a higher usage rate in points and rebounds, which I think is definitely ones to kind of keep an eye out for more though. Assists, I kind of highly doubt there will be a line out for assists since his usage rate isn't that high. So I think points and rebounds is definitely where you are going to see a line and see the value of him being able to go on the over. Now looking at, Chet's past games so far, during these playoff, this playoff series, we did see game one. Obviously they won 131-80. They had an absolute smashing against the Grizzlies, and he had himself 19 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 assists. So he did go over on 2 out of the 3 lines, and the line which was assists he did actually push on. So I think that's great there. Like I mentioned, I definitely would just keep an eye out more for points and rebounds. And then looking into game 2, similar situation. He had 20 points, which is over his line, or technically his average, and then also 11 rebounds, which is also over his average as well. But assist, he did only, he actually did have 0. So it is very interesting to see there. So like I said, I definitely would keep an eye out for OKC's or Chet Holmgren's OKC's points and rebounds. I think those are the lines that definitely we could see Chet really take advantage of. But like I said, you just got to look at the value of the lines that do come out. If the lines is under his averages, then definitely look to go on the over for this one. So for that reason, keep an eye out for Chet Holmgren. Like I always mentioned, if the line is under his averages, then definitely look to go on the over there. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about none other than James Harden. So James Harden, great player, as we all know, for the LA Clippers, and he's done a fantastic job during this series, but during the season as well, we have seen him average 22.8 points, which is ranking him 20th, 5.8 rebounds, ranking him 53rd, 8.7 assists, ranking him 5th, and then a 41% field goal percentage, ranking him 111th. So we have actually seen, James Harden do a fantastic job all season, and when it comes to them, they do actually face off against, none other than the Denver Nuggets. So it is a very, very exciting series between these two teams. Nuggets and Clippers are definitely going at it so far, and this one's an interesting series because we do know that when it comes to Nuggets and Clippers, they are only one sort of how would you say this, sort of standing away, because they are the 4th and 5th team in that playoff tree. So nothing really does separate them, because Nuggets have the 4th spot, Clippers have the 5th spot, but they both have a record of 50-32 and also have a 61% win percentage. So it really came down to points for and against. Even a little bit out of topic, but Lakers did have the same record, so it really came down to points and points for and against, which is why they both ended up in the 5th and 4th spot. So that's why it's definitely been an intense game between both of these teams. But when it comes to the LA Clippers against the Nuggets, we do see that Nuggets do rank when it comes to points allowed. I actually do rank 25th. Moving on into assists allowed, we see that the Denver Nuggets also do rank pretty low as well, as they do rank 29th in assists allowed, and then rebounds allowed, we also do see the Nuggets rank 6th. So they rank a little bit better in that rebounding category. Now, when it comes to James Harden, we do very much like the over for this situation here, but I think points and assists is definitely where you want to focus on. When it comes to someone like James Harden, we have seen him do a whole heap of sort of usage rate right in the points and also assist department due to the fact that he does play that guard position, but on top of that, his play style has just definitely been more beneficial in that sort of role. So he has continued to dish out assists and score those points. Now, he doesn't have too bad of a usage rate in the rebounds, but the thing that throws us off is due to the fact that when it comes to, a team like the Denver Nuggets, they actually do a fantastic job against rebounds, and that's due to the fact of someone called Nikola Jokic, who pretty much grabs almost everything. So overall, we definitely do like the over, but for points and assists for someone like Harden. Now, looking at his most recent games, especially the ones against Denver, in game 1, he had 32 points, 11 assists, and 6 rebounds. So he did a fantastic job there. He actually went on the over in all 3 of those lines, which I thought was impressive to see there. And then game 2, second matchup, he had 18 points, 7 assists, and 3 rebounds there. So he did pretty decent in that one. He wasn't able to go on over on 3 lines or 2. He only made it over on 1. However, his usage rate still does remain very, very well. So I think overall in that game 2, obviously Denver hit Clippers with new defensive strategies, but we are expecting in this game 3 a very different story. We are expecting adjustments to be made for both of these teams, which could definitely lead to James Harden having himself quite a game and a good usage rate out there on the floor. So for that reason, I definitely would keep an eye out for the over for James Harden coming into this matchup. So James Harden, LA Clippers, keep an eye out for his line. If it is under his averages, then definitely look to go on the over. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Mikal Bridges. So as you all know, Mikal Bridges, great player for the New York Knicks. Now, when we look at his, averages so far during the regular season, we did see him average 17.6 points, ranking him 50th, 3.2 rebounds, ranking him 150th plus, 3.7 assists, ranking him 66th, and then had a 50% field goal percentage, ranking him 33rd. So when it comes to that, he has done a fantastic job. Now, when it comes to Bridges, as we all know, they face off, or New York Knicks face off against the Pistons, which we just recently touched on. Now, Pistons do have a record of 44-38 with a 53.7% win percentage, like we mentioned, and the Knicks 51-31 and a 62.2% win percentage. So obviously both of these teams made the playoffs, but there is a bit of a different ranking between both of these teams. So we definitely are taking that into consideration here, due to the fact that when we look at Detroit Pistons, however, we do see Detroit, despite ranking a little bit lower in that Eastern Conference, they still do rank 14th in points allowed, 6th in assists allowed, and then 6th in rebounds allowed. So they still do rank very decent there. Now, when it comes to Mikal Bridges, we do very much like the under for this situation here. A big reason being is that Detroit Pistons actually do a fantastic job defensively, but specifically, they do a fantastic job at actually defending the small forward position. So, for that reason, we do very much like the under for this situation here. We definitely see someone like Mikal Bridges going on the under for, mainly points and assists to really focus on. I think rebounds, he still definitely has a capability to go on the under there, but we aren't really expecting a line to come out. Sometimes, Prizepicks doesn't like to send out lines, especially with lower usage rates. So points and assists is maybe you'll all see for Mikal Bridges coming into this game. However, I definitely still see a lot of value there to go on the under. Now, when we look at his most recent matchups against Detroit, they actually played each other during the regular season. And in the regular season, just before playoffs, he had 17 points, 7 assists, and actually 2 rebounds. So he did go under in 2 out of those 3 lines, which was points and actually rebounds. And then moving on into the next game, or game 1, we actually saw him have 8 points, 2 assists, 2 rebounds. So went on the under in all 3 categories there. And then game 2, actually, New York Knicks did take the loss. So when it comes to, Detroit Pistons, they did have themselves a fantastic game, but they had 19 points, 5 rebounds, and 0 assists in that one. So interestingly enough there, as we see overall, we should see Mikal Bridges go on the under here due to the fact that he doesn't have the greatest history when it comes to facing off against Detroit Pistons. So we definitely see someone like Bridges going on the under in this situation. So Mikal Bridges, keep an eye out for his line, especially in points and assists. If it is too close to his averages, then definitely look to go on the under here.